All right, here we go, guys. We have Valor on, Valor Tequila. They're out of Tequila, Mexico. And if you guys have not visited the distillery, it's a must because there's two amazing brands that come out of there. We have Valor, and we also have Antonisio that comes out of there. Antonisio. And today we're talking about Valor. You know, if you guys are familiar with, some of the other brands that I was mentioning, Valor is not any shortcomings of some of the things that you can expect. It's amazing, pure tequila. In a lot of ways, it tastes like a Highland agave because you still get a lot of sweetness and fruitiness that you get out of a Highland, but you get that nice underlining minerality that you get from some of the lowland tequilas. And it's a wonderful brand. Christina, thank you for joining me. I've been looking forward to this, and I just love your personality, and I know this is going to be an amazing evening.
Oh, well, thank you, CJ. It's just a joy to be here, and I couldn't agree with you more. NOM 1599 between Valor and Atanasio. It's a very, very special place, and I feel very lucky to work with that whole family and the whole team over there. They're incredible.
So one of the things that in doing some research, and it seems to be a little muddled, who is the master distiller for your brand?
So it's really interesting. We take the approach of that there are multiple people that bring our flavor profile to life. It's not just one person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Rene is our master tequilero, but there's also Alonso on the team, Emmanuel, who works closely with him. And then, of course, other parts of the team really play a role in landing on flavor profiles with us. We get to make the decision at the end of the day. We know we taste a bunch of different flavors or flavor profiles, mostly the ABVs, but I rely heavily on Rene and his team to really help us get to an almost close to final place before we make the final decision.
Yeah, if you guys have not met Rene, man, he's a hoot. He is the most friendliest person I think I've ever met. We don't speak the same language, but it's still a joy to talk with him and be with him, and his creativeness is just explosive. I mean, he loves to show off his little mini distillery that he has out in front of the distillery, and it's like, oh, look what I made. And he starts talking that he went up into the mountains and found this wild agave, and then he starts going back and making a small batch just for him and his friends and stuff like that. Yeah. So how did you end up at 1599?
Oh God, it was, I believe, very serendipitous. When I decided to start a tequila company, and that's a whole other story in and of itself. Our head of finance for my other company, Do Goodery, her name is Lupe, and her family and her husband's family are both from Jalisco. And her husband's family has agave not far outside of Guadalajara, about an hour and a half, in a place called Juchitlan. And she would recount these stories of her and her husband and their kids going to these long sort of holiday weeks where they would go for Christmas and New Year's, and the agave fields were right behind the house, and just it sounded so whimsical and magical. And so when I decided that this was going to be my next venture, I called her, and she's like, oh my God, I love this. Let's do this. So she introduced me to her husband's cousin, who actually manages the agave farms. And he introduced me to this other guy, Carlos, who, does a lot of introductions for people that are interested in starting a tequila company. And he took me to many distilleries. And the first trip that we did was purely discovery. So we didn't go to talk business with any distilleries. I literally was trying to learn this industry that was completely foreign to me. And so when we went to Atanasio, Rene was the only one there at that moment. And I just remember sitting with him thinking to myself, what a smart, kind, sort of passionate man who clearly has, like a deep sense of intuition and just is doing this for the right reasons. And so on our return trip, we scheduled a formal meeting with him. And at that point, Shahid, his daughter, was there. And he said to me, he's like, listen, I invited Shahid to join us because I think it's really important for her to see other women in positions of leadership, particularly in this industry. And at that moment, CJ, my everything, I melted. I was like, this is home, right? I was like,
right.
I have a dad who really wants to uplift his daughter in an industry that historically has been male dominated. I mean, how could I say no? And, it was really interesting because they weren't taking on any new brands. Like, they were really, really intentional, and they are very intentional, which is what I love about them. And so they said yes. And that was, over 2 years ago.
So did you start out with Rene as your first master distiller?
Don Chico was part-ish kind of our first, but really Rene, because that was the point where there was the transition happening. So Rene has truly been our guy from the very beginning.
And him and his family are very amazing. They're very appreciative of all the gracious people that go there, and you're invited as almost like a family member when you go there. I mean, they're just so energetic and bubbly, and very appreciative of you visiting and so forth. It was a magical moment for me when I did get to go there. I think that was 2 years ago, and hopefully on this trip I can make some time in the schedule and get back over there and visit with Rene and Shahid and see what else Rene has maybe cooked up, and what else he's got experimental bottles hanging behind this little bar over there.
Absolutely. So. It's a natural, he's just sort of built for this, even though he hasn't been doing it his whole life. I don't know, it's just part of his blood, and it's really interesting to see how easily he's taken to the talent that it requires. And again, like intuition and, like a sommelier, it really is believable.
Absolutely. So since you brought it up, what made you get into tequila? What made you want to venture into starting, this brand that you have currently?
So I've been working in sustainability and community development and social impact my entire career. I was at Disney for 7 years, overseeing our environmental education portfolio across the enterprise. And then I worked for an environmental nonprofit in Washington, D.C. for 7 years. And at that environmental nonprofit, I built our corporate partnership portfolio and really helping corporations think more strategically about how they can have an impact in environmental education and sustainability. And in 2017, I recognized that there was a need for companies to have people like us sort of serve as consultants to help them think through how can they be better corporate citizens and how can they just be good, And so in 2019, I decided to start Do Goodery, which is my consulting agency. And we work with big brands like Sempra Energy and Disney to help them with their sustainability strategies and their social impact strategies. And a couple of years after I started, my advisor said to me, Christiane, you have spent your entire career helping other companies do good. Maybe it's time for you to start your own product company so that you can model what it means to be responsible and sustainable from the very beginning versus being reactive, which is what a lot of companies are in these days, right? Trying to be more responsible. And that was literally 2 years after I had launched Do Goodery. And I said, oh, okay, you want me to start a second company? He said, you can handle it. And I was like, yeah, okay. And so not long after that, a couple of weeks later, I went down to Mexico for New Year's Eve. And a little context of Mexico in my life. My mother's from El Salvador and my dad was from Germany. But my dad thought he was Mexican. So we spent a lot of time in Mexico, most of my childhood living in between El Salvador, Mexico, and the States. And so my first drink was tequila in 4th grade. And
Solid.
that my sisters hate that I share because they're 12 and 13 years older than I am. So they're like, you can have a sip of this margarita. We were in Cabo San Lucas and I took a sip, loved it, gulped the whole damn thing down. And they were like, oh my gosh, what did we do? Don't worry, that was like a one-time thing until I got old enough to drink. So anyway, so Mexico's just been part of my life and I even got like my dental work done down there. And so, growing up in these developing, especially at El Salvador being a developing country, I had the opportunity to understand the deep inequities in labor, right? Like, in terms of what could be considered slave wages and what would be considered slave wages here, right, is what's being made in other countries. And so fast forward to this New Year's trip after my mentor said I should start a second company. We met a couple that the husband introduced me to, like, all these great tequilas. And I was sort of overwhelmed by how much tequila I was able to drink and be okay. The next day I was like, this is muy interesante. And I started doing a deeper dive into the industry and really understanding the deep inequities in tequila, because the money comes to the States, and it stays in the States and it stays in Europe because the majority of the large brands are not Mexican owned. And even a majority of the smaller brands are not. And to get people to care about something, you have to use something sexy and interesting. And tequila is the hottest spirit on the market right now. And trajectory continues to show that for several years. So I got back to the States and I said, you know what? Let me do tequila. And that was in January of 2022. And we haven't looked back since.
Well, I can't say that you couldn't have picked a better place to land. Being at $15.99 and their tradition of doing things very traditionally, and with Rene and his mad scientist style of mind, I'm sure we're going to see some other amazing experiments come out of there. Do you foresee your line growing with other expressions there? Maybe a Joven or an Anejo? Well, actually, I don't see an Anejo anywhere on Tequila Matchmaker. So
it hasn't hit the market yet. It is. Oh, you got the baby bottle.
I got the baby bottle.
No, yeah, you're one of the very few that have tasted the añejo.
Well, I haven't yet, but I will.
Oh, you haven't? Ooh, okay. But I'm not going to say a word.
Okay.
So yes, we have our añejo that is actually, those baby bottles are going to be bottled Thursday, and then the rest of our product is ready to ship. So hopefully it'll be on a truck in the next couple of weeks. But there's 606 bottles total, 750 that have been bottled, but we're only releasing 500. So it's, it's such a special batch that we want to hold on to inventory because I'll let you be the judge of it, but we have already pre-sold 60% of our inventory, and that's just through our retailers that we gave the opportunity to pre-buy. And then after that, yes, I mean, I think if I were to guess, a high proof would probably be high on our list because when we did the I tasted the still strength version of our tequila last January when it came out of the distillery, like fresh out the barrel. I was so shocked at how delicious it was. A little dangerously delicious, though, at 55%. Yes. It was good.
The distillery there, it's all stainless steel. Mm-hmm. But, man, he has created some amazing profiles. And your tequila definitely shows he has done an amazing job. This Blanco is amazing. I could sit and sip on this thing all night long, and
dangerous.
Yes, be very dangerous, along with some of the other amazing tequilas I enjoy. I'd put this right up there on the top shelf with mine.
Thank you. Well,
it is truly a fantastic bottle.
We're really proud of it. And, it's funny. I can't tell you how many people love sending me pictures of the bottle upside down because they killed the bottle. So it is definitely, and to be honest, it's so hard for me to go out and drink really almost any other tequilas except ours and a couple others that don't give me a headache. It's or just alcohol in general, but ours is, yes. And Atanasio, same thing. And then there's a few others that I love to drink as well.
So where are you available at? Because it seems to be pretty small market so far.
Yeah. So online, we're available in all 50 states except Alaska. That's a challenging state. So quite literally anywhere in the US, you can order a bottle. And if you text us, we'll send you a free shipping code for the Duo box. And then in terms of states, we're here in Southern California. We're up in Northern California a bit. We're in New York, New Jersey, and in Florida. And, we're talking to a couple of different distributors right now on the East Coast and also in Nevada with the hopes of being able to expand our market and our footprint across the country eventually.
Awesome. Well, I know it'll be much appreciated everywhere. And if you guys haven't ordered a bottle of this yet, hopefully I'll get that address from you for you guys to go online. It's a must-have. The Blanco is super easy to sip, not too heavy on the pepper, but you still know you got a little bit of a tequila in there. It's not, your some of the watered down stuff that you try in a lot of other places, and it's just amazing. So now I just poured the Repo, and the nose on it is awesome.
And so it's different.
Yes. So how long did it take you guys, and how many trips did you have to go through to go down there and to end up with this final profile that you guys ended up with?
Well, CJ, what's interesting is my expertise is in sustainability and social impact. And the team at NOM 1599, their expertise is making tequila. So we really relied on them, on so many levels, to bring us this final product. Obviously, we were there for our first harvest, for our first production, but we've been taking multiple trips down there because of the work that we're doing in the local community. And so I have been to tequila, I don't even know at this point, 20, 25 times probably. But that's, really more of a reflection of the work we're doing specifically around the water initiative, because you've been to 1599, so the community that surrounds 1599, that's where we work. And, the whole intention behind this brand is to bring, sort of a more equitable and bright future for everybody that touches this tequila. And Atanasio itself is already an incredibly ethical distillery, which is another reason why we chose them. And because a lot of the members that of the community work at Atanasio, that's another reason why we're super committed to supporting San Pedro de los Landeros. And so our next big campaign that you'll see launching next week is a fundraiser to help us bring fresh and accessible water to that community 24 hours a day. So that's why I spend a lot of my time down there more than anything.
And yes, that they have this river or stream that runs kind of along the Fortaleza property, and I've had many talks with Guillermo at Fortaleza, and he says the water's so tainted with chemicals that it's undrinkable, even out of the little river that runs over there. And we all know that, Mexico doesn't, you can't drink the water out of the taps, even though they probably have one of the best, water systems, but everything else is so corroded in between the water plants and where it ends up coming out of the spigot that it's so bad. Yeah. And a lot of people have tried to help them out in making it to where it is drinkable, but I think they got a long ways to go.
3 out of 4 people in Mexico don't have access to fresh water. And so
that's amazing.
For us, one of the most important things that we do was collaborate with organizations from Mexico that understood, that understand these bigger issues. So we're partnering with Pro Natura, which is the largest conservation nonprofit in Mexico, who does this kind of water work all across the country. So they understand it. They know how to install, they know how to implement, and they also know how to train the community members to manage these water systems, because that's a really big issue too. Is like, okay, cool, we fixed it all. We're going to walk away. And then who are you going to call if something breaks, right?
Right.
And so that's what we're really excited about, with this project. And we're also working with our university partners, University of Guadalajara and the Colegio de Michoacán, who have been they have embedded themselves in this community, living with this community to really understand the biggest issues and the biggest opportunities for us to support. And the number one issue is water. And then they have a creek that runs, like they have drainage issues, or there's dengue issues. Like there's so many issues, right? And I understand that we can't fix all of the world's problems. But again, to me, as a responsible tequila company who is using the resources of this community to bring the spirit to, as part of as an executive, or that doesn't make sense, but it makes no sense why we wouldn't take care of the people that are taking care of us. So for us, if we can create a business model and a success model of how you can support the people that are helping you bring the spirit to the world, to me, that's when I know we've really achieved, our goals.
So are you doing anything with like the exhausted fibers after the cook and so forth, like a lot of the other distillers are starting to get onto?
Yeah, so that, that goes off and it's, composted, which, is fantastic. The water is taken away from the distillery, the actual, like the runoff and all the
right.
toxic water. So that's stuff that Atanasio handles. And as we continue to grow with them, really looking at how do we invest in, advanced technology to reduce our water use. Sorry, you just tell him. Sorry, one second.
Sure.
Hi, that's us. Thank you. My other office and security didn't see me. So I was like, my door's locked. So, for us, really thinking about how do we reduce water usage? How do we really do better at using the natural resources that Mexico is providing, right? And so that for us is also really important, because if you think about sustainability, it's the whole thing. It's people, it's planet, it's the collective effort.
And when you do go down to Mexico, I mean, there is some parts of Mexico, as you're touring, going from, even Tequila to Arandis. Mm-hmm. I mean, there is lots of parts that look almost third world. They're living in a very poverty-stricken area, and they don't even have the amenities of like when you really get into the heart of tequila. You still have, electricity and not great water to drink out of, but at least they have tap water, and then hopefully they're purifying it or boiling it or whatever they do. And it's amazing to see all these small towns as you're traveling across the land down there. That it's agave fields, which is all beautiful. I mean, it's majestic, as you were mentioning earlier. Especially when you get down into the south side of Tequila, or as you're coming in or out of Arandis on the backside, or going over to Siete Lagunas. I mean, there's just so many beautiful sceneries. Yeah. And to think that these guys have hardly anything that we have or that we take for granted here in the United States is simply amazing. But yet, they have good crops, but they're not making any money off the crops.
No, and there's a couple of interesting statistics. One is, according to studies, it is that to live a dignified life, we need 50 liters of water a day. And that is to live a dignified life, according to sort of this global research. But we in the United States, an average shower is 60 liters a day. So can you imagine, right? Can you imagine if we're able to provide that? It's life-changing, because the majority of us here in the States get to open our tap and boom, water comes out of it. That is not the case there. And in terms of the agave fields, yes, they're beautiful and they're stunning, but because of the boom, so many trees have been cut down, which has led to the heating of these little communities, right? So like we did a major tree planting a couple months ago to try to bring some shade back, because if you're working and you're walking down these people have to walk far to get to the bus, and there's no shade, and how hot it gets down there and how
Oh
hard
yes.
that is. So the effects of the agave boom, are great in one sense of bringing, bringing an economy to the area, but also really destroying it at the same time. So it's a push and pull.
Absolutely. Well, let's go back to your tequila.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Thank you.
It is absolutely fantastic. And did I see a picture somewhere? I mean, your grandmother standing down there in front of the agave fields in Mexico.
It's a great question. No, that's in El Salvador, my mom's child, where my mom was
Really?
born. Yes, and we were cattle ranchers, and so when I started this journey, I was looking through pictures of our family, and I found this picture of my grandmother standing in front of this agave, and I was like, what the heck? And so it turns out that those agave fibers were used to make bags. And so we actually turned that agave into bags. And so to see that sort of agave has run in my lineage, just on a parallel, but, different outcome.
Yeah.
It's so wild, right? And the fact that I hadn't seen that picture until after I started this it was bananas.
So if you don't have Valor in your glass.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, I'm on antibiotics. I had to have a tooth removed.
No,
So.
no, you're fine. If you don't have, when you go out and you can't have Valor in your glass, what do you have?
So most bars, it's hard to find, like the sort of anything small like Atanasio or Us or anything like that. So, I mean, happy to see that Cascawin is definitely become a lot bigger. So Cascawin is my number one go-to if I see it. Ocho will be my next go-to, and Fortaleza will be my third go-to, mostly because I know Fortaleza is really hard to find, so I want to leave it for other people. I would say those are my three sort of bigger, small brands that I go to.
But of course, yours is your favorite, right?
Without question. And not even because and I wonder, I'm like, I want to do a blind test to make sure that I'm not just thinking that because it's my juice.
Well, if we hook up down there, we'll do a blind test together. I would love to do that. And there's some good tequilas to be found there in tequila. Not a great selection, but I think a friend of mine and me are bringing down some bottles with us to bring back to Mexico, because we have a friend there, Yanette. Have you met her?
Yes, I have. If it's the same Yanette that I'm thinking, then yes.
Yes, she has the tiny bar.
Oh wait, maybe no, I haven't. No, I haven't. No, sorry.
She's a big tequila collector, and she's a master distiller. So you'll love her. Nice. And she treated us to some of her amazing collections. So we're actually doing a dinner pairing there. And on that Sunday while we were down there, and if you want to experience something absolutely amazing, her partner that hosts the tiny bar is a chef that used to be a master chef at Jose Cuervo for like 10 years, and he opened up his own restaurant just a few years ago, and they do this dinner pairing with some amazing tequilas. But I bet you we can have her put together a blind test to see how we end up picking things.
That would be so fun. I would love that. That would be amazing. Count me in.
Okay. I will I will definitely hit you up and let you know the dates on that. That will be a good time.
Yeah, 100%.
And she's just a blast. Very similar personality to you. Very, very outgoing and bubbly, and just super friendly and very approachable and very knowledgeable about tequila. I mean, she knows everybody in the industry, and she's a wonderful person herself.
Well, anytime I have an opportunity to meet a woman in tequila, especially master distillers like Ileana Partida, it's like it blows my mind, and I love it so much, like so much.
Yeah, yeah, and then she opened up a bar there in Tequila. It's actually right across the street from Renee's bar.
What do you Beso or Beso y Amor or
Yeah,
something? Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yes,
I need to go. I it wasn't open the last time I was there, but when I go next time, I will go.
yes. So we'll be there, and then we'll go to her tiny bar
Oh, I love this
and
idea.
do a dinner pairing, and I'll shoot you over the information.
I love having plans 5 months in advance. I'm in.
Yeah, but they don't plan like that. I mean, I have no idea what I'm doing. Get with me like 2 weeks prior to, and it's like, no, I don't like doing that. I like to know my plans. So.
Yeah. Oh no, it's a different way of life for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's I sometimes really love it because I breathe a little bit differently when I'm down there.
Absolutely. Hold on a second. I'm trying to answer somebody that's asking questions. So your love of tequila, because you decided to start out when you were 4 years old.
Fourth grade.
Fourth grade. Okay. Fourth grade. 4 years old.
That would be bad.
Yes. It's hard to imagine what you first started to drink down there compared to what we have today. I mean, they're like yours and Renee's and Fortalese's and many other brands that we all become to love. It's very artisanal. I mean, it's like you have this amazing sous chef or master chef making these tequilas that we have all become to love.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was that you drank back then?
It was probably Cuervo. I mean, this would have been 1989.
Okay.
Just so everyone knows. 1989. So, and it was in a margarita, guys. So, Cuervo, Patron. No, I didn't even know Patron was around by then. But, we didn't really, my sisters drank beer mostly. So tequila wasn't a big drink that they had. But then when I was old enough to drink, I drank a lot of margaritas. But I couldn't tell you what the tequila was. And the reality is 35 years ago, tequila was also different back then, right? It really exploded and became so industrialized, and quality was a lot. Even Patron is a good example of how the quality of Patron has changed over the decades.
Absolutely. And they did take a lot more measures. I mean, even I'm drawing a blank now. But yes, it is definitely evolved, but it was probably more truer to then than it is now.
Like so many things, right? So many industries. I would say the same thing in the fashion industry and garments. It's hard to get good quality things now. And so, I think that applies to so many different things. Cars, I mean, God, everything.
Yeah. Ooh, I love the nose on this añejo.
Oh, you're trying the añejo. Okay.
Ooh, that smells amazing.
Here we go. Dun, dun, dun.
Wow. It's so different from Renee's tequila, but it is, to me, this is almost like a dessert. You get a little bit of caramel, not a ton, a little bit of caramel. Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, I know.
Awesome.
I am kicking myself, to be honest, CJ, that we didn't do more añejo, and that was my fault because I'm not an añejo person. I'm a blanco gal through and through. But when I tasted them, I was like, oh my God. And every single person that's tried it, the reaction is just like yours. So, I think we'll have a good product on our hand, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be gone within the first few weeks of putting it on the market.
Oh yeah. I will definitely have to get me a couple. So if you guys could see this,
oh, you got a liquid?
Yes. I mean, it's not super dark. How long did you age? Do you remember?
15 months.
15 months.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously in used bourbon barrels.
Mm-hmm. American white oak bourbon.
Not recharred, obviously.
Slightly. And that was another thing I was very intentional about, because again, I don't like smoky, I don't like sweet. I want to taste the agave, right? And if the original juice is so good in the form of the Blanco, like, we don't want to take away from that too much.
Right.
And, so that is a representation of 3 barrels that you were drinking.
Okay. Explain.
Oh, so we did 18 barrels total that we aged our juice in. We did our 5,000 liters was our first batch. And so we did 45% Blanco, 45% Reposado, and percent Añejo. But and like a little percent for extra Añejo. We have 1 barrel that's aging for XA, which will be like 4 bottles after the Angels share. But, at least we'll have some. So the Añejo is a total of 3 barrels.
How long do you let your agaves grow?
This batch was 6.5 years. And so part of the reason why it tastes different from Atanasio, I mean, it's our own agave, it's our own production. And also the ABV is 42% versus Atanasio's traditional 40%.
Yeah. And really, you don't pick up on the higher proof on this unless you would have said, I did not pick up that this was a higher proof. It really drinks like a standard proof, which is nice.
Absolutely. Yes, it was really fun when we landed on this. We hosted a tasting at Atanasio, and Shava from Cascawin was there, Gina from Tequileño, La Tequileña Mireille. We had really phenomenal people come and help us make this final decision, which was fantastic, which was really, really fantastic. And, so there's a lot of love that has been put into this brand, like a lot of support from the greater tequila community, which has been incredible.
Yeah. And I can contest, but there's a lot of people that also want to learn more, which I always find amazing that, there's that many people out there that, that's been drinking, some of the stuff that we talked about just a little bit ago. Yes. And they're wanting to know about more. I can't tell you how many times, that I'll see that, since joining the group, I bought my first additive free tequila, and it's, it's so exciting because now they're going to go down this path that, I ended up going down 7 to 10 years ago, and everybody's wanting to learn more about brands like yours and many other brands, like Cascawin and Fortaleza and so forth. It's an amazing community. It's a very welcoming community that, I've enjoyed so much. And, with all things tequila, I encourage education, with it. And I try to make sure that, boundaries are kept and bullying is not there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there was a lot of that at first, and,
Oh, no, there's no time for that. It's tequila is such a fantastic spirit on so many levels, and it's so complex. And, very similar to wine on many instances. And so I think that's why people love learning, because it's not up until recently that anybody thought twice about tequila, except, shooting it or putting in a cocktail. And every person that we introduce to the world of tequila or bring down to tequila, their minds are blown. And
Yeah.
so I think it's really fun. Like we love it. And I've certainly learned a lot. And, I hope that the discourse around like bullying about bad tequila, like it's everyone's learning, and honestly, like, if you like a brand that everyone hates, that's not like, you can like whatever you like, and I never fault people for that, because we all have different taste buds, and so for me, it's just like, let's just be one big happy family. And I feel the same way about, my competitors, because there's 8 billion people in this world. And if only 1% like tequila, that's still 80 million people. And to satisfy 80 million people, not one brand can do that.
All right. So I got somebody asking, and unfortunately the text's too small and my eyes are too old. I can't tell who it is, but they're wanting to know when the añejo is going to go on to the market and be available.
Pre-sale is going out this week, and just barring any issues with customs or anything like that, we should have the product on the truck by the end of next week. So I'm hoping, we are all aiming by the end of October, whoever's ordered a bottle of añejo will have it in their hands.
Okay. And you guys heard, only 500 bottles are going to be released.
Yeah.
So if you want one, you better hurry up and get on their website and order a bottle, because it's going to be gone, or it's going to be on the secondhand market, and you are going to pay dearly for it. That's
my fear. I wish the secondhand market would let the money come back to, I don't know, the people, but whatever. Good for them. They can figure it out well. Maybe they'll make a donation to the Gente Buena Foundation.
Oh, well, hey, we'll promote that.
Yeah, thank you.
But I doubt we'll get any volunteers to give any money back. Yeah. That's one thing I've always discouraged. Everything I have, I keep, I drink, and I enjoy with friends. Yeah. And it's important to let people, enjoy these amazing tequilas. One, I love to share. So
thank you, CJ. We appreciate people like you very much, very much.
Thank you. I really do appreciate that. I'm a little small cog in the wheel, and I hope that, one day I could do a lot more for the industry, and hopefully soon I can do something.
Listen, if everybody on this planet had your mentality, can you imagine how different the world would look? Because we as individuals are completely capable of making a difference, and it's the collective effort that changes the world. So, absolutely.
I enjoy it. So, any last details, I guess? Do you got?
A shameless plug for the foundation. So we started a foundation called the Gente Buena Foundation, which is the foundation that people can donate to help us do things like the water project that we're doing. Next Monday, we're launching a full 2-week campaign to raise $100,000 in 2 weeks. And so for just $5 a day for a year, a family of 4 will have access to fresh and sustainable water for the rest of their lives. So we're really looking at this like a grassroots campaign. So if somebody has $5 to give, we would love their $5, because can you imagine if the hundreds of thousands of people that love tequila gave us $5? We changed the world. I mean, if they want to give us $1 million, that's cool too. So that launches next week. And, I'll send all the information to you, CJ, as well. But that for us is a really exciting thing. And we would love to break ground before the end of the year. In time for Christmas would be perfect for people to have access to 24-hour water 24 hours a day before Christmas.
Well, if you send those links, I promise that I will post it on the group.
Thank you.
And hopefully, we'll get you that $1 million. But
thank you.
We'll at least make some small attempt at of contributing to not only Valor, but the cause behind Valor.
Thank you, CJ. That means everything to us. It means that you have no idea how much that means. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and there's almost 27,000 people. So
wow, if 27,000 people gave us $5, not only could we surpass our goal, we could do so much more. Like build a soccer field. Like there's so many things we could do if every one of your members gave us $5.
Yes.
That out there.
Well, we got some amazing members, so hopefully everybody will contribute to the cause.
Thanks, CJ. If they want to give us more too, once again, that's fine. Even $10.
And it's all tax deductible, I'm sure?
Yes, we are a registered 501c3. So yes, we are. Yes, it is.
Awesome. There you go, guys.
Yeah.
She'll get me the link. I'll post it up on the group, along with hopefully a link to your storefront.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can order some tequila at the same time.
Yes, please, because 10% of every bottle goes right back to this work as well.
I know I'm going to get on there real quick.
Thank you, CJ. Thank you. That means so much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, guys. Hey, we're going to finish this up. If you guys please follow along and look for those links here very shortly. And I always enjoy spending time with you guys. And Christiane, this has been another fun evening for me. I've enjoyed it, and your tequila is amazing. I mean, it's everything I expected, especially coming out of $15.99.
Awesome.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, CJ. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to the community for tuning in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. You all have a good evening. If you hang in there with me 2 seconds.
You got it.
And
bye, everyone.
We'll see you soon.